welcome back to the Okayest Cook podcast. I am your host, Chris Whonsetler, and I am joined by my three co-hosts who are ranked by who I think knows how to properly set a dinner table. We have Colton Heiniger, Andrew Heiser, and Corey Cole.
That's fair.
I was a catering manager for 3 years. So.
Are you serious? I had no idea. So I guess we know how that ranking is going to go top to bottom now. So today's episode, we are going to be discussing a surprisingly controversial stew, chili. It is getting towards the end of chili season here in central Indiana. Let me back up. It's always chili season, but it does taste better when it's frigid outside. And we are like rocking the 30 degrees right now.
It's balmy today.
Yeah, we just had a really warm week after a really frigid week. So chili is just hitting the spot right now. We are going to chat about that after we discuss our week in food. So tell me, guys, what did you guys discover or taste this week that really stood out to you?
Well, I'm going to go first on this one, I think, because we've been eating it tonight. We're talking about chili today, but I brought stew, a venison stew.
It was good.
It's very good. It's one of those that like I was a little nervous about making, to be honest, because I've never really made a stew. And I was really nervous about the quantity of some of the seasonings that were involved. Nicole and I were just talking prior to hitting record here about like stews can sometimes be blah and bland. And this one was not shy on the black pepper, and so it has got a little bit of a nice little pop to it. So that's again, those like this week was a try that went well. So
it's not dry either.
Yeah,
and I think it's a good definition of pop and not heat.
Yes.
Right. It's not hot pepper. Mm-hmm. It's got pop.
Yeah, it was a nice savory. Like it was balanced really well.
Yeah.
It wasn't, heavy-handed one way or the other, but I was a big fan. Yeah, I would like to make that stew.
It's good stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Yes. Corey, what do you got for us?
Man, I did another round of bacon-wrapped backstrap.
Ooh.
And I do. So one of my go-tos, because I don't get the opportunity to use my grill as much as I like, I love liquid smoke. I use it so much.
What is liquid smoke?
I think it's legitimately liquid smoke.
It's yummy goodness. Dude, it's got to be probably some like soy sauce that's like smoked.
No, I think it's like legit. Like they collected smoke and they like distill it. Like
really?
Spirit. I think so.
You know what? I have no idea.
Research it for the future.
But it's super good.
Well, so we're gonna do an episode in the future on cheating.
Yeah, there we go.
Example, like is bacon
liquid
wrapping
smoke.
Cheating? Is liquid smoke cheating?
Look at you. Just
I know. Hitting it all together.
I think that's a new name for it, though. It's the
cheating.
Call it the cheater. The cheater straps. You
know?
know?
Cheater straps.
Cheater straps.
It's like I'm in marketing, guys.
So I did a brown sugar and liquid smoke marinade.
Oh
on
my
it.
word!
Okay.
And then I air fried it for 12 minutes at 400 degrees.
Dude, that we'll honestly discuss that later in this episode. But yeah, that sweet savory combination.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge fan.
You got me wanting to try it real bad.
Mm-hmm.
You should have brought it.
Sorry, I killed it.
Yes. Well, actually, mine's so weird. Like I can't like not stop thinking about it. So David Chang has a Netflix show. Have you guys seen this?
Mm-mm.
David Chang, he does is it Momofuku noodles? He's like a ramen.
Oh yeah,
kind of guy.
Yeah.
Look his show up on YouTube or on Netflix. Excuse me. It's wicked. This guy's mind is insane. And I actually have to look at it right now because I don't remember. It's a soubise, I think he calls it. It's basically like he takes onions in like a cast iron pot and cooks them down in butter and vinegar. And it's like the weirdest sounding thing of all time. But what he did with that is he had this big bowl and he layered in a bunch of potato chips and he put like 6 eggs that he cooked kind of like over easy or over medium.
Sounds like you're making this up.
No, it's legit. I saw it on Instagram. It's legit on his Netflix show.
It's one of those things that does
Yep.
not sound good. But I'm
It
sure
sounds like he
tastes good.
figured this out in
That's
his
what I'm
dorm room
thinking.
at 3 a.m. after a night at the bars.
It's not done. It's not done. Listen.
There's more.
So we got potato chips. We have eggs that are fried. What's it called when they're running on top but like solid on the bottom, like over easy, right?
Well,
Look at the
Over
episode.
medium.
Look at the episode
Yeah,
and
sunny side
t-
up or over
tell me in the
medium,
comments,
so,
yeah.
what type of egg I'm describing here. So you got the eggs, and then he puts this onion soubise. Again, it's onions, butter, and vinegar. Like I'm kind of cringing as I'm talking about it, but I'm also like equally intrigued. On top of the onions, he puts caviar, and then he puts like some herbs. I don't know exactly what the herbs
What
are.
is
I wasn't
he
listening
talking
that
about?
close, but like.
I can't even
The
imagine what
people
this would taste like.
That tasted it absolutely. They're like freaking out.
So have you made this yet, or you just?
I have not tried it,
Oh,
no,
you
but
just-
I
you saw
want
it.
to. Yeah,
Okay.
I
Cool.
saw it
This
and I was
is
like,
a
I need to
saw
try
to
this.
make. Got
I
it.
don't know if I'm gonna like it, and I probably won't. But like, I need to try it. I need to try it.
Probably won't.
David Chang's onion soubise.
Onion. I wonder if the acid from the onion like neutralizes the vinegar.
Well, when you cook them like he did, anytime you're like caramelizing onions, like that, they kind of turn
Right.
sweet.
Turn sweet.
So you've got like the sweet onions,
vinegar.
kind of the salty
So-
chips, the salty caviar.
bet
But if the
and, like,
chips are in it, so is it gonna get soggy? I don't know.
I bet it neutralizes
the
it.
eggs protect them. I don't know. I don't know.
That's
We need to
interesting.
try it. We'll come back after we try it.
Burgers.
A
I
new
don't even know what
episode.
this looks like.
New episode coming out on weird food. I should have had it on the computer. I failed. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
guys, but
it's
You're
okay.
good.
look it up, and tell us what you think. It's gonna be interesting. All right, Colton, what do you got?
You're up.
My turn. Well, to segue us into chili, I actually made chili this week. I made it last
there it
night,
is.
so I had to prep a little bit. I added, well, maybe we'll talk about it later, but I added some unique ingredients to my chili this time.
Dude, we can just start the chili episode right now. Like,
Did you use your Dutch oven?
I did use my Dutch oven.
Good.
So
yes, only way to do it now.
for
The
those of you
enamel,
that
right?
listen to the gear episode,
not
one
the
of my top items,
not the cast iron.
the
'cause that'll-
enamel.
Enamel Dutch.
Enamel.
Chili kind of
Dutch
screws up
oven.
cast iron.
Oh,
Unless you've
yeah.
got like
Yeah.
some crazy beastly seasoning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my chili, I do a couple weird things that people may or may not feel like they want to try. Number one, after I brown the meat and vegetables, and add the tomato paste, I deglaze the pot with orange juice,
Ooh,
which adds a very unique,
I don't know if I'm interested or
Sweet.
turned off.
There's eggs. There's vinegar.
summery flavor.
wait.
Different topic,
I
Andy.
know, golly.
Say that part again.
So after I brown the meat, cook the veggies, I add in the seasonings and tomato paste and cook it all in there. And you get this really hard layer on the bottom of the Dutch oven. And I deglaze it with a mixture
Oh, I see.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah,
So
with-
the
of orange
is like
juice.
bring the stuff, the
yeah.
cooked bits back
Brown
up.
Back up.
There's a term for that, but I don't know
The
it.
brown bits is what it always. And all the cookbooks is usually brown bits.
Yeah,
But-
brown bits. Brown bits.
Yeah.
But when that orange juice hits the pan, the smell that comes off it is one of the better things I've smelled.
Really?
Okay.
It's fantastic.
Is it
I
like
need,
a,
I need to smell it.
it's like a sounds like it'd be like a simmer pot type situation.
I don't know what that is, but it could be.
This is
we need.
you guys
to
are
like,
always making fun of my
yeah,
rusticness.
simmer pot.
But
That'll be on the Christmas episode.
yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, my general go-to with chili, I vaguely follow a recipe, but I just buy whatever fresh peppers I can at the store and just. My wife does not like a lot of meat, so I do heavy veggies. I know this is a little controversial for some people, but I do
gonna say
sweet
it.
potato.
Oh my god, it's not chili.
I didn't even know that was a controversy. But
What?
Yeah,
Well, I feel like
potatoes in chili, yeah,
that's not chili. It's stew.
it's chili.
Here we go.
yeah. We're drawing some lines in the sand here. All right, continue. We'll try not to.
But the big things I always put in is a combination poblano peppers, which adds that kind of earthy, smoky.
Solid.
I use ancho chili powder, not regular chili powder, because
like the ancho.
for those of you that don't know, ancho chili powder comes from poblano peppers. So
Oh, I did not.
I did not know that. No.
dried and ground. And then the unique thing that I added this time was instead of regular salt, I used espresso salt. to add to that.
Did you buy this or
can
did
see
you make
this.
your own?
I bought it 5 years ago and found it.
Aged.
Found it at the bottom of my drawer. Yeah.
Yes.
Aged espresso salts.
But the
Espresso
poblano
salts, huh.
and ancho powder gives it this really like earthy,
Just plays with coffee.
earthy taste, and that espresso salt, I mean, really comes through, and it adds a very nice richness to the chili.
Now, maybe this is a stupid question to ask, but is this a venison chili or a beef chili?
I've made it with both. I
Well,
did beef this time.
I'm a big
Okay.
fan of mixing in meats and chili. I do the same.
Yeah.
I have become a big fan of half beef, half venison.
Okay.
Okay.
I've also done it with turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't like turkey. I do. I've been very tempted to try it with duck, but I have not yet. So
Seems like a waste. Duck's so much better.
I've
I
heard
think that
duck
would be-
chili is really good.
I think it would be really tough.
I think it could be phenomenal, but I would also be worried about it slightly overpowering, because like duck and goose, like it's such a strong flavor by itself. Like I don't know if that would. I feel like it could either make or break it. Like it would either be phenomenal or terrible. Like I don't think there's any middle ground.
I just imagine it being really difficult to even just make, because if you cook it too long, man, it's done. It's awful.
But if you grind it up real fine,
Yeah.
I don't know. We need to get like a sigh count on this episode, because there's going to be a lot of this like, God.
duck and
I
chili.
don't
We
know
got
about
sweet
that.
potatoes and chili.
Like,
Oh,
this-
cinnamon too.
This is like,
Oh, it's cinnamon. Oh, yeah.
Well, so okay. So normal transitioning. I don't want to like steal the thunder from
Feel
Colton
free.
here, but so two things. One, I feel like I'm like just always talking about Frank, my brother-in-law, on this podcast. One of these days we'll have to have
Dude,
Frank
if he's an
on
inspiration.
the podcast. But Frank, my brother-in-law, sent me a chili recipe 6 years ago. And he made it like it's his chili recipe. My wife likes his chili. And so I was like, hey, Krista doesn't like any of the chili that I make. Can you please give me a
bummer.
recipe? And so he sent me his recipe. So every single time I make chili, I literally get on my phone and I look in my email and I type in, and he labeled the name of the email. I'm not lying. Burr, it's chili.
Oh,
So
geez.
I literally look it up every single time. And the original Sunday, actually, this is even
we
further
need to
back.
get you a cookbook, man.
So like, I'm not gonna lie. This is from, I thought it was 2019, but it's originally from when he sent it to my Yahoo account, because who has one of those anymore? In January 24th, 2011 is when he originally sent me that email. So,
Dang.
but it has
Dude, if it holds up, it holds up.
it has cinnamon in the recipe. And my wife and I lived in Cincinnati for 3 years, and we are a Skyline family. Sorry, Gold Star folks. We are Skyline. But cinnamon does belong to chili. So I
would agree.
will agree with that one.
I will say cinnamon is not in my recipe.
Should be.
I'm not knocking it. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I need to try. Yeah.
But
Try it.
you use your cinnamon.
Yep, cinnamon.
Do you
ancho
put
chili
sugar
powder.
as well? Like, is sugar a good ingredient?
I do not add sugar.
There's brown sugar in mine.
Sugar.
Yeah.
I get a lot of the sweet from other things in my chili. So,
Yeah,
for
like the
example,
potatoes.
the sweet potatoes.
Yeah. Because you put sweet potatoes in it. You don't even
Hey,
put
for those of you who have not tried sweet potatoes in chili,
now, do you
it's
dice it?
odd,
Like,
yeah.
what's the shape of the potato when it goes
Diced.
in? Oh, diced. Okay.
yeah, I don't just put a full sweet potato.
Well, I just
in
didn't
there.
know if, like, I didn't know. Are they, in my head, my question is, are these like, well, we just had stew.
Like hash browns. Are they
Those were
tiny?
like chunks versus like, finally, I don't know. I'm just
So-
curious. Like, no one puts it in there.
Cut thin like a carrot.
The way I like my chili,
What, orange?
I think the texture of a dish plays a huge role.
100%.
Agreed.
So I try to vary the textures in my chili as much as possible. So you've got peppers, you've got sweet potatoes, you've got meat, you've got beans. I also throw in half my beans at the beginning and half near the end so that they're varying textures.
All right.
He's getting fancy.
Psychopath dish that I'm eating. I don't. This is.
I'm not opposed to it.
This is the thing we have to start thinking about. We're having these like, My mouth is watering. Like some of these like
We need some food in here.
hardcore conversations about these textures. I feel like I need to try this because I don't know if I agree or disagree.
I'm
bring
already
this up
interested to read the comments on this one. Yeah,
Right.
what does the world think about sweet potatoes in chili? Like, is it, like Andy said, is it no longer chili at this point? Like, where do you draw that line? Like, when does it become something different? And I don't know.
What defines chili though? I feel like you could add
Right.
pretty
Let's
much
look
whatever
at
you want to it.
Merriam-Webster right now.
This is like what all bourbons are whiskeys, but not all whiskeys are bourbons. And this is the situation. Like all chili is stew, but not all stews
is
are chili. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, I typed
Wow.
in chili, and it's just giving me chili peppers.
The ICS defines traditional red chili as any kind of meat or combination of meats cooked with red chili peppers, various spices, and other ingredients.
So this is why it's controversial.
Yeah.
This
it's
would be
controversial.
an other
It
ingredient.
is
so-
wide open. So all stew is chili. Well, if you put a chili in it,
If you put a chili in it,
a chili is the defining.
But here's the thing: it says pepper
That
chili.
makes sense.
It calls it traditional pepper chili.
I don't know if I'm actually making chili then.
what's your
With wait,
What
here
peppers- what kind of peppers do I use?
it gets further. It says so all of the spices and other ingredients with the exception of pasta,
What? Wait a second.
Everyone-
which is strictly forbidden.
What website is this? Hold on.
Everyone in southwestern Ohio is angry right
Now.
Right now.
What website
Is that
are
a
you on?
thing? Do
Yeah,
people
it's,
put pasta in their chili?
Have you ever been to Skylines?
Selah,
Some
member
people-
clicks.
Some people
That's
put
a-
pasta in chili.
Yeah, man, spaghetti,
Um,
bro. Chili
I
five
have
boy.
been to Skyline, but I would not consider that chili. I would consider it chili on top of noodles.
Side count number
I'm with Colton.
75.
I'm with Colton. I think the addition of pasta is like, it's like putting cheese on chili. It's an optional add-in. It's
I
not.
agree. So we don't when we do it, we cook it separately. If you want it, you have it.
Agreed. No one puts. Okay, let's be
Oh,
very
yeah,
clear.
we're not gonna
No
poop-
one's putting
we're not gonna poop
pasta
on anybody's
in-
chili here,
No one's
but-
putting pasta in the chili. You put
People do that,
chili.
though.
Chili goes on pasta.
People do that, and it's chili mac.
Yeah,
like elbow
so
noodles.
I have a family member that I am not going to say because I know they're going to listen to this. That does.
Well, they're gonna know.
And you know what else they put in there that I hate? Huge tomato chunks.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
And
my
that's-
love language.
See, and that's not.
I like a chunky chili.
Oh yes.
I like chunky chili, but like there's a difference between putting full and peeled tomatoes and doing diced.
Yes.
Your tomatoes should be
Big
diced.
difference.
If you're not dicing your tomatoes, you're not making chili.
I do both. I do
These-
I do
these
a
are-
can of like the
I'm-
whole tomatoes and a can of
That's
diced.
another whole
I
conversation.
have so many feelings right now.
These are like I'm talking like these are like
Anger's
a spoonful of just tomato
Yes.
with some
I need whole tomatoes in my chili.
You're just
Oh my
wrong.
word, yes.
So
But
we're not
noodles.
talking
Let's
about
go. Let's go back to noodles.
Right, we're
Let's go
talk-
back to the noodles.
So what I'm advocating for, again, I feel like I'm just defending Cincinnati here, but chili is a thing that you can have by itself or on things. Could we agree on that?
I'd agree on that.
So it can be on a hot dog. That's called a chili dog.
Mm-hmm.
It can be on pasta, and that's called Cincinnati. It can be by itself and on crackers. You can eat it. You can eat however you want. The chili, it can be. It's one of the few things that is both a topping and a dish.
I'd agree with that.
I'd agree with that
That's fair.
100%.
because I eat it very differently than how my wife eats it.
How's that?
Bro, I put a half a pack of Ritz crackers.
I'll get
Yeah.
behind crackers.
And when I say a half a pack, I mean a half a pack of Ritz crackers. But my wife, she takes a Ritz cracker and then puts a little bit on it and then eats it.
Enjoys it that way. Yeah.
It's interesting.
But I think it's because I like it.
So you're eating chili like as the main ingredient, and she's like using chili as a topping.
But I'd
Yes.
almost, or is is Corey putting pasta in his chili via cracker? Like it's just your carb
See, I go
of choice.
I use other things in my chili that I think could be, I think people find a little on the side. I guess people don't. Some people do it. Some people don't. Some people think I'm crazy.
Well, tell us.
Dude, I cannot eat chili without peanut butter sandwiches.
That's odd.
What is this episode
This is
about?
I love and I was
butter and chili.
but I was recently introduced to chili with cinnamon rolls.
That was legitimately on my list to talk about.
And have you had it?
I've not.
Wait,
It's-
on it?
Well, I think same way with like my peanut butter sandwich. Like you're taking a bite of chili, you take a bite of cinnamon roll. But
It's like the cinnamon roll is your side.
so for me, like
With a bowl of
I can
chili.
have a bowl of chili, but I will have like I've tried to cut it back. One peanut butter sandwich, but normally it's like two peanut butter sandwiches with it. And so, but it's just like it's no different than, and I'm not gonna go too far off topic here, but it's no different for me for like
Brother,
I
we're
don't eat,
so far off topic.
but
bro.
I
Keep
don't
going.
I don't eat tomato soup without grilled cheese.
That's okay. But
So
that's
fair.
It's the same for me.
okay.
So chili to peanut butter sandwich is the same thing for me for tomato soup to
I
grilled
was
cheese.
not with you until you made that comparison, and now it makes a little more sense to me.
The
But it's-
cinnamon
again-
roll or the soup?
Both.
The grilled cheese.
But the
I would
cinnamon
not
roll-
eat
but-
either personally with my chili, but
But it's the same.
can understand it.
It comes back to the savory, sweet and savory.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
the,
it's
the
a
sweet and savory
classic
is
combination.
absolutely like a legit like combination.
Yeah.
We all know that. Like pineapple on pizza.
Well,
That's,
like-
that's another episode.
Another one's cornbread.
Yeah.
Is another favorite with chili.
Semi-sweet, yeah, but
It's
not,
just- it gives you
not
a
like
semi-sweet.
cinnamon roll level sweet.
I'm just saying
That's
like,
weird.
How do you?
Is that maybe cornbread's a gateway drug too?
But here's the
cinnamon
thing.
rolls.
I want to challenge you the next time you do your cornbread.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of salt, do sugar.
Well, you're just making really sweet cornbread then.
Oh, every time I make cornbread, it's half sugar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
really sweet cornbread.
There is
to begin with.
there is a restaurant down in New Albany, Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
that is called The Exchange. Jess and I have driven down there for the jalapeno cornbread.
Oh man.
And it's served hot in a cast iron skillet,
Mm-hmm.
smothered in honey butter.
The Eagle.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you been to the Eagle down
Yes.
in Mass Ave? You guys don't have to go. They don't drive that far.
No, they haven't.
Yeah. Oh, dude, there's hot honey on top. Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
It's
But is
not-
it made with sugar?
I'll do hot.
I don't know. It's delicious.
It's like this is like they serve it as like a dessert.
I mean, I don't know. Give it,
Well,
give it a go.
I'll give it a go because
Date
it'll
night.
save me a 2-hour drive.
Yeah,
to
date
Albany.
Yes. Well, let's go back to the cinnamon roll. Like, legit. Like, who's heard about that? Raise your
Yeah,
hand.
Yeah,
Corey.
just recently.
me.
Yeah.
No.
I've heard about it, but I've never tried it. I don't recall where I heard about it, but I did a little digging, and I ended up on allrecipes.com. Like, I get a ton of recipes from that site. I love it. But they've got an article like breaking down this whole like chili cinnamon roll like phenomenon, and it's like it goes back to the 60s, and like apparently it's just like it was a school staple, and nobody knows like exactly where it started. Like Iowa takes credit, Colorado takes credit. Like it's definitely a Midwest thing.
School staple.
Seriously, yeah, like some lunch preparer person, like just I don't know if it was a wacky idea they had or like trying to like tick the boxes of like, hey, we need to give them a bread item and so many carbs or whatever. But like whatever,
There's a food pyramid in here somewhere.
whatever led to them making that decision, like school attendance and participation just skyrocketed. Like every time there was chili cinnamon rolls on the menu. Like,
But I would argue that you put cinnamon rolls on it.
well, yeah, kids are going to come to school for cinnamon
going to
rolls.
school.
But it's like it's that particular combination. Yeah, it's that sweet savory. I don't know why. Again, I've never had it. It's not an Indiana thing. I've never had that on my lunch menu. But like, I guarantee you, if I was a little elementary school kid again, like,
Oh yeah.
I would try that 100%.
Heck yeah.
We just had some friends that introduced it to us over Christmas time, and it was. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I've already been
Well,
doing,
you've been doing the peanut butter. Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing.
That's
So,
wild. Oof.
Things I'm gonna have to go home and inadvertently try. I'm so.
I'm gonna have to
I
make
don't
some
know.
cinnamon rolls now.
I didn't realize how like my feelings would be in this episode.
I will say that I
now.
don't.
I am.
I don't do it with my venison chili, because I do a white venison chili.
Ooh.
So let's talk a little bit about meats, because you touched on this earlier, Colton. But like, I'm a huge fan of mixing meats when I make my chili, and I
Agreed.
do it for a
Same.
couple of reasons. One, it's a way for me to sneak venison in on my
Yes.
friends and family.
Yep.
Okay.
Because people, all of us understand this as hunters, being part of families where not everyone hunts in the family. So there's a lot of controversy around potentially on like what, like eating venison or not eating venison, whatever. But one of the great ways of introducing wild game to people who have never had it before or in dishes like chili.
Yep.
So I'm a huge fan. So one of my go-tos, and you mentioned turkey too. So one of my favorites to do is I call it 3-meat chili, and it's it's basically a third venison, a third ground beef, and a third turkey.
Oh, man.
And it literally gives you all the meat profiles that you would want.
Let's back up though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a controversy. Like wild game, like it's a little taboo, like in some circles. But
Yeah.
I think controversy is the
Not a
wrong word.
controversy. Yeah. I meant more like, I just like the idea of it's a great way of, especially if you're not.
Oh, it is, yeah.
I feel like chili is almost one of those recipes. It's a good, like, what do we have left over type of like foods that we can put together in a pot that makes sense.
Yep.
According to the dictionary, as long as it has chili in it, it's
Yeah.
chili.
Chili peppers, yeah, you could. Yeah, I'll be honest. My wife is not like the biggest wild game fan, but like she'll eat venison tacos. She'll eat venison chili. So 100%, yeah.
I need to know that what you did to make that happen, so I can make that happen at my house too.
Yeah. I would say, and my wife and I make chili very differently.
Oh yeah.
My wife has a very specific recipe. She makes it the exact same way every single time. I was super bummed because I was in freaking Tampa last week and they had chili at our house with all her friends and I missed it. But she doesn't do venison, she does beef. But granted, we have local beef and it's a different taste. And now that I've been buying my cow from friends the last 2 years, I will not touch store-bought beef. It's different.
It is.
And it makes your dishes taste different. It's so much better.
I would agree.
Yeah, I'm definitely on that multi-animal protein as well, but I do have pork. So I do like a roll of pork sausage.
Okay.
And then a roll of venison. So a pound of each.
I've never tried pork and chili before.
That would come with choices for me personally, but
Have you done?
Yeah,
Have you
sorry.
done the sausage? you done the sausage in chili? I know some
Yeah.
people do that. I've done sausage.
Yeah,
It's like
in fact,
spicy,
actually,
spicy pork breakfast sausage.
the recipe I referred to earlier for Frank, his has pork sausage in it. I just obviously don't use that part of it because pork doesn't love me as much as I love it.
Yes. Well, I don't think there's any more controversies to cover, is there? I mean, I guess there's chocolate. Like some people put chocolate.
Yeah,
in
I've
chili.
heard-
There's
I've heard
cocoa in
that. Do
mine.
that?
There's cocoa in mine as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Cocoa powder?
Yeah, I use cocoa powder in it.
Do you taste it? Does the profile come through?
I think it's more for color, to be completely
Okay.
honest. I think it
Does
changes.
it give it a rich
Yeah.
dark
So
color?
again, going back to like the chili recipe that I utilize, and again, it's not mine; it's my brother-in-law's, and it is a very like what I would call a traditional Cincinnati like chili that's got cinnamon, it's got chocolate in it, it's got beans in it. That's another controversy. If you go out south,
Beans
is
is
go down
controversial.
south. If you're in
Yeah.
the New Mexico, Texas area, that sort of thing, you're not going to find beans in their chili. But it is a very Midwestern thing to utilize.
Yeah.
But what I love about the dish is that it is versatile. I mean, you put in sweet potatoes in yours, Colton, and that's an example of like it's a phenomenal tool, I think, to feed a family relatively inexpensively.
So good.
And it's so good, and I think
And
it's
it's better the second day. It just gets,
well, we were
keeps getting better.
we were just talking about
We were
this when I got
chit-chatting, yeah.
here about how like one of my favorite things to do with my chili is I don't know if you guys do this too, but I take half of it and that's what I'll eat for the week, because you guys know I meal prep, so like I'll take half that for the week, but the other half I freeze, and I'm so pumped to get that other half out later on because I feel like the leftover version of it is so much better. So I don't know why, but
It's almost different than like, because you could cook it too long initially.
right.
But like those flavors need time to mix and to meld.
Yeah.
And like that second reheating, like even just from the fridge the next day, it's
I would
like
agree.
yeah.
Yeah,
100 times better.
it's one of my favorite
Do
meal
you,
prep.
do you microwave it or do you put it back
I
in
do
a pot?
not.
I like it
I-
put back in a pot.
I despise the microwave. It just, I'll use it when I need
I'm
to,
lazy.
but if I don't need to, like I'm always stovetop
Yeah.
or oven.
If I'm
how
on the
we
move,
are.
if I'm on the
Right.
move, I use the microwave for sure. But
Yeah.
if I know that I'm just can actually sit down and enjoy it, I prefer to throw it back in a
I would agree.
pot.
Yeah.
It's also a great, you were saying you can use lots of different things in it. It's versatile. It's a great dish if you don't necessarily cook all the time and you're trying out some recipes. It's a good dish to try out some new things in because
It's safe.
it's not going to turn out bad.
Like orange juice.
Like orange. Yeah. Well, no, on that point, again, like kind of the ethos of this podcast in general of being kind of okayest at these things, chili is a great one and to play on because, I mean, it's fixable too. I think if you, especially if you're like we
you
talked
can
about,
always add beans.
exactly. Well, we
You
talked
can
about
always
this,
take out the noodles.
like we talked about tasting. Like tasting ingredients along the way while you're making things. Chili is a great example of something you can try as you're making it. You're going to get a good idea of what it's going to be like at the end. So if you've got some stuff that you want to play with, or some new chili peppers, or you go to a farmer's market, for instance, and pick up something that you haven't played with before, it's a great opportunity to kind of test.
Well, I think it's a great one too. Like, because even just down to your seasonings, like you bringing us like the Texas dust or like new brands. I feel like can change the profile of it
For sure.
based off the quality of ingredients they're using. And I'll be honest, I love regular chili. And there'll be times in the spring where we'll just open our windows in our house just to cool the house down, just to enjoy some chili. But I think I make one of the best chilies because I do a white venison chili.
I was going to ask you about this white chili.
But I don't use
What's that
heavy
mean?
cream.
Tell us more about this.
I use Greek yogurt.
Okay.
So
Yogurt
instead of heavy cream.
Yeah, we use that.
Well, it's like
instead
a
of
white chicken chili,
yeah.
but I just use venison.
Same.
And then you use you
So
don't use
is it
kidney
ground?
beans.
Ground venison? Okay. Because like traditional white chicken chili's got like
Well,
shredded
like
chicken.
so I guess it's honestly whatever I have at that point. Like I will use ground, or I will just go through and I'll just shred up like this last time I shredded up some of my back straps.
Oh my
and threw it
god.
in there.
I've never thought to use a dark meat in a white chicken chili recipe.
It's a different profile. It's not like you cannot think of it as a white chicken chili. It has a different profile, but I think
Guys, I have so much homework to do now.
I think using the yogurt rather than the heavy cream helps.
Krista does that. My wife is a huge fan of using instead of cream.
Yeah.
She'll use the Greek yogurt or that's it's actually honestly if it's a great sour cream substitute if you're someone who likes to put a lot of sour cream on their chili or in their chili. Try it with the Greek yogurt. It's good.
A little bit healthier, maybe.
Probably. Yeah.
I still use the chicken broth though.
See, my wife has a white chicken chili recipe, and it is to die for. I love it, but I don't know how she makes it.
Is that a wife thing? So Krista does too. Do your wives make white bean chicken chili?
Dude, Jess's is incredible. I love it.
Yeah, Sierra does actually.
Is it like
Make that.
Is that a lady? Did we just stumble?
I don't want to stereotype
Neither
anybody
do
here,
I, but at the same time, I mean, Krista's white
all
bean
of our
chicken chili
wives
is amazing.
do it.
Yeah.
A lot of
It's
cilantro.
phenomenal. I love it. Yeah.
Krista
But
puts a lot of cilantro in
some
hers.
people, a lot of some people don't consider it the same though. Like we had a chili
Oh,
cook-off.
it's two totally different things.
We had a chili cook-off,
100%.
and someone did the white chicken chili, and
With
it's
it DQ'd?
it wasn't.
Should have been.
I think she got second or third place,
Oh, man.
but it's a different profile.
It's a different
for
profile.
me.
That's where it's like, yeah, I don't like that.
Those
It's
are
almost
two- tho-
cheating
those
because
are
like
it is.
Well,
It-
because my wife's, I'm confident, has like a brick of cream cheese in it, like, and of course that is going to be good.
delicious. You put it on
Well-
butter and cream cheese.
those are like, I don't know if maybe I'm weird, and I might
Little bit.
I might
We all are.
I know that, but when my taste buds are prepared for something, don't change it on me.
Right. I agreed.
I got you there.
If I'm coming over to eat chili, my taste buds are already prepared for chili.
I
You
see
could
that,
maybe
yeah.
add some sweet potatoes, but don't bring white beans.
don't bring white beans and cream cheese.
Right.
But it's like my wife gets mad all the time because if we're eating something and she's eating something different at a restaurant or something, she's always like, especially after it's always after I eat in my last bite. You want a bite of this? You want to try this? No, I don't. She's like, why? because I have a good taste in my
It's gonna
mouth right now.
ruin my
And
experience.
if I don't like yours, I have nothing left to. She's like, so you're saying my food is not good?
I can't fix it.
Yeah, I can't fix it.
That is hilarious. I love it.
Wow, I've never thought of it. Well, I mean, that's again, chili's another one of those meals that I feel like you hear about this like it's a good cold weather dish because it sticks with you, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it sticks with you in a lot of different ways, and 100% would agree with
I think that's.
not adjusting the profile.
I think that's always the go-to meal for hunting season too. Like,
Oh, yeah.
because I'm fortunate enough that my parents have 40 acres. My mom and dad are both big hunters. My mom's taken bigger bucks than I have, and it's a thing, when we go down there. And I even remember as a kid, if we got to a point, as a kid, I couldn't sit the full day. I got to come in at lunch. There was always one of two things. There was either a pot of chili on that my mom had put on before we left for tree stands, or there was potato soup. And that's just kind of a staple. And when I start smelling those things, like I'm getting into hunting season. I'm getting ready to
Dude,
to
those
gear up.
memories are like so vivid. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just getting that whiff of something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, like I've got almost the same like thought, like that scent memory of like a bitter cold goose hunt I was on. I was hunting all by myself, and it was just like in the single digits, like, and that's bitter for me here in Central Indiana. I didn't see a single thing all day, but I remember like taking a break to go to my truck, and I had a Stanley thermos full of chili, and it was still just like piping hot, and I was like, oh, this is like saving me.
Back when Stanley was cool. Sorry.
Hey, Stanley's coming back.
I was like, I feel like Stanley's
They're
cooler
popular.
now than
I
it's
know,
ever
it-
been.
I know.
It's a different kind of Stanley.
Do you remember that day that we were laying out in the middle of that field in Hamilton County, and it was like raining and sleeting on
yes.
us, and we didn't see anything, and
Yeah.
I think that was like the first time, and I had just gotten my layout blind for waterfowl, and that I did not put anything in the bottom of it, and there's just not breaking wind at all, and that was the first time I ever thought in hunting, I was like, this is stupid. Why am I laying out? It's freaking in the wind. It was super windy that day.
because we didn't have any chili.
We're laying in the center of a field,
Yeah.
of a freshly cut cornfield.
In the middle of
nothing
Indiana.
in the
There are
middle
no
of
hills.
Indiana, and it was sleeting rain on us. And I remember yelling at Chris. I'm like, "This is stupid. Why didn't we just meet up at Rosie's and go have breakfast?"
Isn't that what we ended up doing?
We did.
Confession.
I don't know where the geese were,
They
but
got up immediately and went to Rosie's.
I will say we made it till like 10 o'clock.
yeah,
We
we got past
waited.
that second fly down.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
They were just elsewhere. Well, let's go back to beans real quick. Like we didn't touch on beans. Like, have you guys ever like been like you said, Corey? Like you get in the mode for chili, and like your
Yeah.
taste buds are expecting something. Exactly. Like I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about because it happened to me one day, and like I'm just now putting the threads together in my mind. Is like I showed up and like they put this soup in front of me, and I say soup because it was like
Runny?
almost like they blended it. Like there were like almost no chunks in this
no.
chili, and there was zero beans. And I was just kind of like, I don't know what to do with this
Give it back.
soup.
Yeah.
It's like thicken this up. Like finish preparing this dish for me.
What going through this gastro thing, I had to take beans out of like my diet, and so
My
obviously
wife keeps telling me I need to do that, but
Jess made me like a small batch of it, and it just wasn't the same.
it's different.
I'd almost rather endure the pain.
Beans are the number one thing. I use a different combination of beans every single time I make chili.
I do
It's the
too.
number
I
one thing I
agree.
play around with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but is it always red or kidney?
No.
No, really.
Yeah.
This last time I used chili beans and black beans. The time before I did
Ooh,
use
black
red
beans.
and
like
black
a Southwest. Does it give it like a Southwest?
So I
So-
always have black beans in mine because
love black beans.
Krista won't eat it without it. So the black beans have to be in there. But I can so like way I started doing is like slowly putting some kidney beans in there and then getting some chili beans. And then now it's like a thing when I go to I prefer Market District is the store that I shop at. It's a Great Eagle location, and they have a lot of really cool beans in their both their Hispanic aisle as well as in just like a whole like bean section in their canned
Bean
vegetables.
section, I love it.
So I always like it's like a thing that I look for now. It's just what other beans could go in there, and you know honestly, the beans have a texture, right? They have to be called know and feel, and that's what we're talking about. So the question is, what does it do to the flavor profile? And so that's what I want.
See,
You should try lima beans.
you guys talk about all this like experimenting and like you're kind of making me want to like get out of my rut. It's not
You
a
do
rut.
things at the same time?
It's not a rut.
Same thing every time?
I've got a recipe and it's like it's dialed. I don't want to say to perfection because like nothing's perfect, but it's dialed. It is very good. I will say like I do kind of fudge on like the exact quantities of specific ingredients, but the ingredients themselves are like always consistent. Like I'm always using 3 beans, kidney, pinto, black. I'll give you the full recipe here at the end of the podcast, but like, and again, sometimes like it's based on what you have because like you don't always feel like going to the grocery store. So yeah, like some things will shift inevitably because you have to, but like I've got this exactly the way I like it and it's phenomenal. And like I'm kind of stressed out of the idea of like trying an orange juice chili or like trying like some cinnamon chili. Like it's almost
Well,
I don't know how I feel.
What's the worst that's going to happen, buddy? You just
I have
start
a
over.
bowl of
I will
something
say
don't like.
we don't touch Jess's recipe.
Yeah.
That's the staple. Like if friends are coming over, I might make a little pot just because I'm probably the most, without saying too much, I'm probably the most cultured when it comes to food in our group of friends. And I think it's kind of come to this place of they rely on me to try new things when they come over. And so I like to like always
Because if
have
you don't
something.
try it, they won't. Or
Well, no, like I think it's so Jess and I are the oldest of the group. And so we have a few younger couple friends that we kind of, I don't want to say we mentor, but you know, we love on and they're part of our core group of people.
Sure.
And I think we just kind of have lived a little bit more life and we're adventurous. We're known as the foodies of the group.
Nice.
Like we're always trying new things, which is crazy because up until I was about 15, which is when I was adopted, bro, it was brats, burgers, steaks. Like that was
there's
it.
nothing wrong with that.
But I literally had the food palate of a 4-year-old until I was about 15. But then the family that adopted me, like, was cultured and they traveled and we took vacations and I learned to open my palate. And then when you go and you're in another country and you have to learn how to eat things differently, it changes your food palate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no. The one thing we do, and maybe this is, I'm curious how you guys feel about this, is so heat of chili is I feel like a big, not a controversy, but a conversational piece of like how hot is too hot, and do you make it a certain way? So
My house is very divided.
Yes,
Very divided here.
Again, I like a chili to be. I don't like heat for heat's sake. So if it's hot just to make it hot, that's when you lose me. But chili, naming, inferred, is gonna have a little bit of beyond pop.
You would think so.
It's gonna have a little bit of kick.
A little bit kick.
Right. So one of the things we do at our house is like I make it kind of like one way, like plain, and then you can always kick it up with some cayenne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's different though. Like I said, going back to earlier, like we talked about the melding of the pot. Like I think if you make a hot chili, like you need to make it hot from the get-go.
From the get-go. Right.
Yeah.
With the start of the pepper.
It will be better.
Yeah.
But yes, if you've got a wife like mine who like despises anything close to a jalapeno level of heat, like yes, I have to put in my own spice after the fact, and it's okay, it's passable. But I have been known to make like 2 pots of chili, like my pot and Stephanie's pot.
That's a good way.
And I like my chili like right at the edge of regret. Like if you can finish a bowl and you'd be like, man, one more sprinkle of habanero dust like would have just like set me over the edge. Like that's perfect.
That's no matter how hot you make it too, the type of peppers you use can significantly change the flavor.
Oh yeah.
Like that's why I
That
could
goes
always
back to like heat for flavor's sake, not heat for heat's sake.
Right.
But I personally, I mean, as you guys know from earlier, I like the flavor of poblano, jalapeno peppers. That's what I use in my chili.
Yeah.
And they're also not too hot for most people. But even if you're going hotter than that, I mean, using a habanero versus a guajillo pepper, like they're going to have significantly different flavors, even though they're both hot peppers.
Does your wife eat it?
She will eat mine. That's primarily why I stick to jalapeno poblano. I would add, the store normally has a lot of, it's whatever the store has too. I mean, there's normally a lot of serrano peppers at most stores, so I prefer some of those.
I would be
It
would be interesting in 5 or 6 years to ask you that question again.
Yeah.
When your little girl gets to eating it and see how she does it.
Yeah.
I got to a point, honestly, where like I would slowly, like I tried to acclimate my wife to like spicy things because I love spicy things. And like I did get her to a point where she was like infinitely more tolerant, but then something happened.
We were the opposite. She got me into more spicy things. But if like you said, if it's just hot to just be hot and to make my nose water, like I don't want to touch
That
it.
hurts. That's bad.
This is the one thing I think that like when people talk about like cooking and whether or not they're like they see themselves as a good cook or a bad cook and things like that, like I like one of my questions I ask like how do you like your wings? Because if you're like there's levels of wings that like you get to a point where like you're just making them hot to make them some sort of silly challenge to have a marketing ploy, that sort of thing. And it's just a bummer because I feel like there's a lot of really really good chilies out there that you can really get that flavor profile that you want and still have that kick so that it still has that bite, that edge of regret, as Chris would say.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're not sacrificing flavor just to have heat.
Yeah.
It's one of the big problems, I think, with the Midwest in general, as far as our pepper selection goes. Sometimes it's rough. We go to the grocery store and, we're having to, put, what would be typically what I would refer to as an Asian chili pepper into our chili. That is, it works, but for the heat, but it's not, it'd be way cooler to do it with something that's a little bit more like South American, Mexican, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely important to find like those grocery stores like in your area that do specialize in like different cultures, like the specific ingredients from different cultures, like not just your own.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go to a special store.
Cigarro is a good one here in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So
Is that
check
the one in
out.
Castle? Like one in Castle?
I think they have two. There's one downtown, one in Castleton.
Yeah.
They got phenomenal selection of just like, again, not taboo type ingredients. I mean, yes, definitely, but they've got whole octopus and all that stuff.
I think
but
when you spend
just different culture ingredients. Yeah.
When you spend significant time overseas too, in other cultures, I spent so much time in Africa. You just learn like the flavor profiles.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, like we just as Americans, like I think we just struggle a little bit.
100%.
But I think that's why I love the multiple cultures of friends that I have, just because I'm always getting introduced to new things. I mean, and the fact that I'm considering where my food palette was before and the fact that I'm as adventurous as I am now is night and day. And I think going back to that though, I think chili is such a great way to enter people into that.
That and just entering in different, like you can meld some cultures in chili, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like quite literally a melting pot, right? Like you could take some of the things you learn from these different cultures, like a serrano pepper, and put that in there, and there's things you can do from different cultures that make it your own version of chili. So I encourage you, Chris, to get out of your perfectly made chili bubble.
I'll try my orange juice chili.
Play with some orange juice.
I would say I think one thing that's pretty cool that I've heard so far on this episode is the fact that you've had that recipe since 2011.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude, that's a family recipe now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean,
legit is.
Yeah.
your kids, passing that to them.
Well, I'm
now,
just waiting
it's
for
pretty
one
cool.
day for
Forward the
Austin.
email to kids.
Austin to be like, "Hey, I got to make chili. Do you have a recipe?" I'd be like, "Do I ever?"
Yeah. And that's and how cool is it that it came from his uncle?
Oh yeah,
You know,
for sure.
and
That's
that,
phenomenal, yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Well, let's agree to share all our recipes. I mean, we're gonna wrap up here pretty quick with my recipe, so you guys will all have that. But Colton definitely, share us, give us the juice. I'll try a pot.
Give you the juice.
Literally, give us
I'll
the
try a
juice.
pot and see what I think. I don't know if I can put noodles in my chili though, so please don't ask.
It's
please
chili
don't ask me.
on noodles, man.
I can try chili on noodles.
Just make some elbows separately.
There you go. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess,
guess.
One quick thing before we wrap up here
Yeah.
too that I just thought about is, right, the whole point of this podcast where, I mean, we're all pretty average at cooking, but we enjoy it,
Okay.
and we're trying to up people's game a little bit. And one big thing, which I think we could put into pretty much any podcast, this goes for everything, but where you source your ingredients from
Yeah.
is a very simple step to take your chili up to the next game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even if that's making it in the summer so you can get local produce. So much better
Gardening.
than just
get into
getting canned
gardening so you
everything.
can like
Yes.
legit grow your own peppers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've
That's
got that
huge.
episode coming up soon.
Yep.
But
I love it. That's good. It's a good bit.
perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's wrap it up here with my personal. Actually, scratch that. We're not going to wrap up quite yet. Any hot tips on chili? One hot tip came to mind. We talked about cornbread earlier, and I didn't have time to interject. Like making cornbread waffles. Have you guys done this? Like, do you have waffle iron?
No.
Make
I
a
do have a
cornbread.
waffle
Make
iron.
a cornbread waffle, and top that with your chili. Like,
Oh, that's-
holy crap, that's good. That's good. Any other hot tips here?
I mean, I do enjoy, like, if I'm not using crackers, I will use cornbread the same way I use crackers.
So mine, so I've gotten, we kind of mentioned this before, I think on a previous episode, but like I make like it's a bread recipe that I got from a friend of mine. And it's just 5 ingredients. It's not even really like real bread. You're using, we're cheat code for sure on the baking side of things, but it's beer bread, right? There's a can and a half of Miller Lite in it. It's delicious. But that as like a dip into your chili.
yeah.
So like eat your chili whether you have noodles or don't, or just a bowl of it or whatever, but just using that as like a dipping scenario is another little
Like a
hot
peanut
take.
butter sandwich.
Like apparently like a peanut butter sandwich, friends.
Yes.
I would say be adventurous. Man, like
For sure,
if,
yeah.
if you mess it up, you mess it up. I mean, chili for the most part is pretty cheap to make
And fixable.
and
I mean,
fixable.
yeah.
You know, if you finally get it to a point where you're loving it and you've got a pot and a half of it, go share it with your friends or
Yeah.
freeze it, because it is really good at frozen. And I would say just take a moment to just allow yourself to just be free with it. I never use a recipe with chili anymore. Sometimes I just go and just start throwing stuff in there and see how it
Yes.
tastes.
Yeah. Agreed.
But
All
really-
right. I need to step out of my comfort zone here. I'll do it. I'll report back with my findings. And please, down in the comments, Instagram, YouTube, tell us,
Absolutely.
is orange juice okay in chili?
Yes.
and all of the other controversies we've brought up today. So without further ado, this is my chili recipe, Chris Whonsetler's chili recipe. I like my chili thick and chunky. This is not a dippable chili. Like, you're going to have a hard time putting a cracker into your bowl. Starting out with the meat, I've got 1 pound of ground venison, 1 pound of bulk Italian sausage, and half a pound of bacon. Pre-cook your bacon, dice it up real small, put that in the chili. Vegetables, I've got 4 15-ounce cans of beans. This is any combination, but I use kidney, pinto, and black for my recipe. I've got 2 28 cans of tomatoes. You're going to put that in with the juice. One of my cans is diced, and one of my cans is whole. I like to see my ingredients. I need that whole tomato in there. 1 6-ounce can of tomato paste, 1 tablespoon minced garlic, 1 large yellow onion chopped up, 3 stalks of celery chopped up, 1 green bell pepper, 1 red bell pepper, 2 green chili peppers. Insert your favorite pepper here, poblano, ancho, whatever you want. In the seasonings category, this is the one ingredient. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. 4 cubes of beef bouillon. Sometimes I add
chicken?
that. Sometimes I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah. A 1/4 cup of chili powder, a tablespoon oregano, tablespoon of cumin. I do cheat on the cumin. I do like mine pretty heavily cumined up. So sometimes I'll put in 2 tablespoons. Sometimes I just dump it until I feel like stopping. A teaspoon basil, dried basil, teaspoon salt. I used smoked salt, and that's phenomenal. Next time you do any kind of smoked product on your smoker, if you've got one, just throw in a cookie tray of salt, just like flaky salt, and just make your own smoked salt. It's phenomenal.
Or just throw on some liquid smoke.
Or you could use liquid smoke. Black pepper, another one I cheat on. Recipe says 1 teaspoon, but I typically use like a tablespoon of that. I do a lot of black pepper. Teaspoon cayenne pepper if my wife is eating it. If I'm eating it, it's more like a tablespoon. I also used dry habanero if my wife is not eating the chili. So not a tablespoon of dried habanero. That's too much. Teaspoon dried habanero. Teaspoon of paprika and a teaspoon of white sugar. Onto our liquids category, I do a 1/4 cup of beer. Like any kind of dark brown beer is good. Local beers here in Indianapolis, I use WeMac a lot. Guinness is really good. I do a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, the W sauce, a tablespoon of that. So I cheat on that too. I like my W sauce. And then 2 teaspoons of hot pepper sauce, like Tabasco, something like that. Anything with like kind of that acidity, I like that. Instructions, shoot, man, you brown your meat properly. Listen to episode 1, like do your research, see how you like that. But properly brown your meat, and then just combine everything. That's it. Simmer it for at least 2 hours, stirring occasionally. Taste it after that, adjust. And then, honestly, the longer you simmer it, the better.
Would agree.
But don't go like 8+ hours. That's way too long. And then it is better the next day. So put it in the fridge.
How much does that make?
Ooh, see, that's another good question. For me, that's like, we split it into half, and I freeze half of it, and we could eat half of it for probably 2 or 3 meals.
Okay.
But I eat a lot of chili. So for the average person.
So that's roughly double my recipe, and mine's only good for a week.
And
we don't freeze any.
I've got more hot tips here. I would say even double what I just told you to make. You need a big pot. You need a really big pot.
Yeah.
But what I love to freeze my chili just because it's so easy to reheat. I've got a sous vide and a chamber vac sealer from Anova, and I love it. So I use the chamber vac to freeze my chili with like no air gaps in there. It's phenomenal. And then honestly, I just throw that
in the sous vide
vac bag in the sous vide. Like if I know I've got kids. I've got 3 kids. Sometimes we know we're hungry, but we don't know when we're going to eat.
Yeah.
If you put chili on your stove, like it's going to burn, the bottom's going to get gross.
Yep.
In the sous vide, you set that to whatever temp you want to eat it at. And if you're going to eat in an hour, it'll be done. If you're going to eat in 4 hours, it'll still be perfect.
We're going to need to do a full episode on the sous vide, as it's my favorite thing. It's honestly on our go back to the episode of our top 5 things list. It was another item that I very seriously considered batting. So.
They're clutch in like very specific situations, but they're tricky to use sometimes.
I have not had very much luck using them. So
oh no, we'll talk about it. It's a different episode.
Okay.
It's a different episode. Any final tips or thoughts on chili? We good? Did we cover all the topics? Let us know in the comments if we skipped anything, if we need to address any chili topics in the future. But again, very, very much appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for listening. Yeah, tell us all your chili tips and tricks in the comments. Definitely let us know your thoughts on some of these controversies. What side of the fence do you guys live on? As always, email us at hello@okayestcook.com. hello@okayestcook.com. Search Okayest Cook everywhere. We'll be there. Love to chat with you. Thanks so much for tuning in, and tune in next time.
Put it on pasta.